All right, I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, talking midterms, but as I mentioned before the break, there's something remarkable happening in Iran right now. I want to talk about it with the Iranian-American writer and scholar of global theology and a friend, Reza Aslan. His latest book was just published earlier this month, An American Martyr in Persia, The Epic Life and Tragic Death of Howard Baskerville. Reza, I'm sure you didn't time the writing of this book around the fact that Iran would once again be in global headlines, and of course, because of that, I've got to take you there for a moment because you're an expert on this. So thank you for talking to me about this and indulging me for a moment. I want to just quote from an article you wrote in a piece for the Times where you describe the protests that are going on in Iran right now. You write, the biggest difference between the current revolution in Iran and the so-called Green Movement of 2009 is that the latter never managed to extend beyond a middle-class urbanized youth movement. But the dramatic images pouring out of Iran showing older women covered head to toe in chadors marching alongside unveiled women in jeans is a clear indication that this uprising is different. Farmers and factory workers, retirees and guild members, even members of Iran's vital oil industry have all joined the protests against the regime. Why, Reza? Why is this happening?
Well, I think, as you said earlier, there is widespread disaffection with this regime, not just the religious aspect of it and the way in which it is forcing its own particularly conservative brand of Islam upon every sector of society, but because of the fact that it's a corrupt government. It's a government that routinely engages in horrific human rights violations. It's a government, Ali, that has failed at every responsibility, in fact, the most basic responsibilities that a government has. And so it's not just the young people and it's not just women, it's almost every sector of society that has come together at this moment and in a single united call has been calling for the end of this regime.
I was there in 2015 when the Iran nuclear deal was being negotiated, and there was such hope amongst the people of Iran that this deal would happen and give them a better life. How much did pulling out of this deal, and I don't want to absolve the Iranian regime of any responsibility in anything that's going on right now, but did the pulling out of the deal under the Trump administration create more hardline government in Iran?
It's hard to say. I mean, certainly the elections that came out of Iran immediately after the president removed the United States from the deal has made life in Iran far, far worse. But that said, I think that what we're seeing in Iran was inevitable. I mean, yes, this has been primarily a feminist uprising. And yes, as you rightly note, that this was a movement that began with the murder of Mahsa Jina Amini. But that said, the reason why it has managed to get so many other swaths of the Iranian population in conservative areas and more rural areas, as you rightly said, teachers are now joining this protest, business groups are joining this protest, conservatives, even very sort of pious individuals who in the past, during other uprisings, have kind of come to the sort of, protection, if you will, the defense of the regime. Even they are joining this uprising. And when you see a coalition like that, Ali, one thing that you can sort of guarantee is that whatever comes out of this revolution, the Iranian regime is not going to be what we see today. The days of this regime are absolutely numbered.
Your new book, your fantastic new book, and all of your stuff is always so well researched, is about a little-known American missionary named Howard Baskerville who traveled to Iran to teach English and to preach the gospel. He ended up dying in Iran while helping Iranians fight for their freedom. Now, he's regarded as a national hero in Iran. What can we learn from Baskerville's story, and what does it mean for this protest underway today?
Well, this 22-year-old Christian missionary who went there in 1907 and ended up fighting, as you rightly say, in Iran's first democratic revolution, the constitutional revolution, was very specifically told by the American government that he had no business in this fight. He was told that it wasn't his country, these weren't his people, this wasn't his revolution, it had nothing to do with him. And Ali, very famously, near the end of his life, he responded to the American government that the only difference between me and these people fighting for their most basic rights is the country of my birth, and that is not a big difference. And it's been 115 years. And while on the one hand, it is depressing that Iranians are still dying for the same exact rights that Howard Baskerville died for a century ago, at the same time, I think that there's a real lesson to be learned in those words of his. We have so much in common with the people on the streets in Iran sacrificing themselves for the rights that we take for granted. And despite our national differences, despite our political and ethnic differences, despite our religious differences, we have to tap into our common humanity, and we have to support those brave men and women who are basically calling for just the ability to have a say in the decisions that rule their lives. Ali, this is not a big request. This is, in fact, the most basic of human rights.
I always thought when I was in Iran and I would see these morality police that, if you just got rid of them, people would sort of understand that, let me live my life. We don't really agree with what the government does. But these minor incursions into people's lives are sometimes the spark that creates the revolution. So now people aren't just mad about the morality police. They're mad about the entire regime, and they want the whole thing changed. Governments sometimes just do the wrong things over and over and over again. Reza, my friend, thank you for being with us. I always enjoy having you on the show. I wish we could do it more regularly. Reza Aslan is a scholar of global theology, New York Times bestselling author of An American Martyr in Persia, The Epic Life and Tragic Death of Howard Baskerville.